This is the Real Estate Foundation, your show for massive action with proven results. Raise your life and your legacy with real estate.
Are you ready to take your multifamily game to the next level? Well, you need to join us October 12th, Saturday, October 12th, for our one-day multifamily foundation workshop. We're going to bring it to you live. We got a list of 15 speakers that are going to go through the process of everything it takes to get your mind right, get the deal right, learn the terms, understand the markets, learn how to find the deals, learn how to underwrite the deals, learn how to put your team together, everything from property managers to brokers to insurance companies. Beyond that, what's the proper way to raise funds for a deal and how to close a deal and what to do after you take over a deal. So it's going to be a huge event. It's going to be awesome for you to join us. Got a great space. It's going to be here in New Jersey, in Springfield, New Jersey. Of course, it's going to be a one-day event, but we got everything packed in from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Right now, if you put in the code workshop, you're going to get a special discount. And again, that code is workshop. You need to go to multifamilyfoundationworkshop.com. Again, www.multifamilyfoundationworkshop.com, and go fast because we've sold a ton of tickets for this. I actually was able to get a bigger room, but that's filling up quickly as well. So again, www.multifamilyfoundationworkshop.com, put in the code workshop. There we go. Got that down. And look forward to seeing you so we can all take massive action together.
Well, hello again, and welcome to another edition of the Real Estate Foundation Show. Thanks for checking back in with us. Always glad to have you. And of course, if you like what you hear, go over to iTunes, give us a ratings and review. It doesn't have to be 5 stars. We just want to hear from you. We want to hear what we're doing great, what we're not doing great, what we can do better for you. But we do have a great show for you today. So we know this is going to be right up your alley. We have Mike Bonadies on the show. Hey, Mike.
Hey, Jason. Thanks for having me on the show. Super excited.
Well, we are actually live down here in Trenton at the Hive Studios, and so we're actually having a face-to-face conversation here, so this is awesome. I'm very excited. So Mike's a landlord and co-own a property management company, which is TerraVestra Property Management. His property management company specializes in managing rentals in the South Jersey area, currently managing over 65 units with Camden, Cumberland, and Gloucester counties. And if you look at their portfolio, they manage about 50% single-family homes and 50% multifamilies, with most of them being in BC neighborhoods. So, Mike, welcome to the show. Did you always work in real estate, or how'd you first take that first step into real estate?
Yeah, I did not always work in real estate. I was kind of a corporate worker for a while. I started off out of college with Stanley Black & Decker, which owns DeWalt Power Tools. Oh. You know, a pretty well-known brand of power tools that's on the construction job site. Mm-hmm. And I started off in the sales position, went out to Oklahoma, traveled around with them at different various places around the nation. But I ended up into a position where I was in charge of managing the P&L and for a product line and managing, launching new products and figuring out who sells what for how much. It was a position based in wheeling and dealing. You had multiple departments that you had to work with, and you had to satisfy all of them and the end customer. And you were putting together big deals that would go inside a Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, new products that would be decided to go inside there. And while I was there, and it ties back into real estate, a friend of mine who was a couple cubes down the road, his name was Alan Klein. He's a landlord out in Scranton, Pennsylvania. He heard what I was doing, and I was always known as a wheeler dealer in the office. And he's like, "Yo, Bonadies, you do a lot in this job that's just like, what I do in real estate." And I said to him, and I remember saying specifically, "Yo, isn't that what like greaseballs do in suits? Like they try to sell you like something on that, that you don't want to do?" And he's like, "No. What you're putting together for like Home Depot and Walmart, we do this in real estate." And so I walked away, and I took a look at it, and I looked at the P&Ls, and I looked at the contracts that you would do in real estate and how you brought people together, and I was like, holy cow, this is exactly what I'm doing for my 9-to-5 job, except I can get paid more for doing this, and it's like my own business versus me working 80 hours a week for, my employer. And that's kind of, ever since then, it's been history. I got involved with it and kind of went from there.
That's a great show if you ever want to start at Yo Bonadies. Yeah, the Yo Bonadies podcast here with your friendly welcome, Mike Bonadies. I love it. I've already thought the name. Just give me branding rights when we get down there. So I did you that service. So a lot of people get that great idea, right? And it's just like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to go. And then they never take action because they have that certainty of the job at a certain point. But you took action. What was that step? What was that first step you did there?
Yeah, I was pretty traditional with house hacking. I used an FHA loan to do a duplex in South Jersey. Now, where I did take the step in that transaction is I moved from Washington, D.C. to South Jersey because I first of all, I'm in love with South Jersey. I'm from South Jersey. And I think South Jersey has a lot of good metrics going for it from a real estate perspective. And I knew I wanted to be a landlord back here. So I was like, I'm going to do a duplex, house hack it. And that's how I got involved. And then my next deal after the duplex would be a 10-unit deal. So I went from 0 to 100 from a landlord perspective that way.
Wait, so talk to us about the 10-unit. What was that trigger, right? Because that's a big jump. People get stuck and they're like, it's too big. And we have this conversation all the time is that it's where your mind can go first, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It can, for me, it was driven by chemistry, which sounds really strange. I had gotten the duplex and I actually then tried to wholesale some properties. I did wholesale about 4 properties after I got the duplex, and I sold 2 of the same deals, or 2 of the different deals to the same guy, Drew Side, who's now my current partner in TerraVestra. And me and him like hit it off. We're like brothers now. Like we talk a lot, and we're like, he had a deal going on. He's like, yo, another Yo Bonadies. Yo Bonadies. I got this deal in Westville. You wanna go in with me on it? And the rest is history from there. Sure. I saw the deal with him. We had such great chemistry. We worked well together. I was like, this is the numbers made sense, but what was more important, the partnership makes sense. And we kind of went from there. And that's how I went into the 10 units. I don't think I would have done it if I didn't have him with me, because between the 2 of us, we were able to tackle him. There was a third partner, Tack. He was great too, and we all tackled this deal together, and then we kind of built from there.
Well, it's sometimes the glory of partnerships, right? Is that you have that partner where it gives you that comfort in the right way to be able to go out there and take that step because you can align forces to really tackle with something that maybe separately you both weren't ready for. And then you just have this infectious energy. I can see why you guys are, you dive into this and you go after it. Were you managing all of your properties from the start, or because generally people may start and tiptoe into it or get a couple properties and then bring back in-house, but did you guys set it up from the start and vertically integrate from there?
Yeah, we were already managing from ourselves. The one, it links back into TerraVestra Property Management, but also a value that we bring to the table. We have really good relationships with the townships in South Jersey, and for people that aren't from New Jersey, townships have a lot of power over what becomes a rental, is it rent ready, etc. And we had gone to other property managers and like, hey, can you manage our properties? And we would ask them the same question, and the question was, walk me through getting a CO in Gloucester City. And we'd listen to how they'd respond. And all of them, none of them we were satisfied with. It was very transactional. Some were upfront. It's very transactional in nature. We'll do this, yada, yada, yada. And it was like, that's not how it's done in that city. So you're off, we're not going to go with you. And then we realized a couple other people started coming to us and saying, can you get the CO for us? Can you go help us through this process? Can you manage that stuff? And we kind of went from there. And that's one of the values that we brought, knowing the township. So we kept everything in-house because nobody else could do the right management for what we were doing. So
what's the keys? Give us 3 keys to success for setting up a property management company.
Ooh, okay. So we're big believers that you have to have a really good foundation on maintenance. Maintenance is usually a tripping point, and when you talk to a lot of property managers, it's not about knowing guys for maintenance. It's about being the guys, because then you have control of the schedule. So it's not like, oh yeah, I know a guy that can go get it fixed. Well, you don't know when that guy can get out there and get it fixed. We have 23 employees for a sister company of ours, DCS Enterprises, that we can call in for maintenance at any given time, and we can move it where it needs to be. So that allows us to control the schedule. It also allows us to get lower prices, because at the end of the day, we're almost the contract. We are the contractors, and gives us that flexibility to move people where we need them to be for either township certifications or for emergencies or whatnot. So maintenance, having a core understanding of maintenance. The second is community relationships, and this is probably a South Jersey specific thing versus more, if you look outside the state, but you need to be integrated into the communities of South Jersey. You need to live and breathe South Jersey. We're fairly well known in the townships we do operate, and we're known as being good people and good landlords. We take care of our properties. We take care of our tenants. We actually, there's flooding in Westville. A couple months ago, one of the houses got completely flooded, like completely uninhabitable, had the cut card come out, the electric come out. We stuck one of those tenants in a property we owned ourselves. We didn't charge them a thing. Just said, stay there for 30 days. And it's a small community, so everybody knew that we had placed someone there, took care of the community. We're the only property managers that pulled water heater permits that week to replace all of our water heaters that got destroyed. And by us being a part of that community and caring about that community and caring about the people inside of it, and really bleeding that community, that helps us out in other ways when you're a property manager and you're managing a part of where the members of that community live. The other element of property management that's important is evaluating deals for your clients. We're not just a tenant manager. We're not just a maintenance person. We look at the deals that our clients are thinking of buying, and we say, look, these are the things you want to consider. Here's what my numbers say. I know that you want to, sometimes you get rambunctious people that want to buy properties just because they want to get into it.
Yep.
We take a step back and look, this is what's going to happen when this occurs. Or some that say, look, this is a great deal on paper, but then there's some hidden elements that need to be worked out. And we're local enough to know those hidden elements that if they do exist, but we let our clients know this is a good deal or this is a bad deal. We kind of help guide them. And when they do ask us, hey, I'm looking to buy more properties, we can tell them, check out these areas, check out these streets, look at this this property, and kind of guide them that way.
And that goes back to really the community relationships. You're just passing on to the investor, right?
Correct.
And that carries forward. It's not what you're doing when people are looking. It's what you're doing when people aren't looking. And it's so easy for us in a day. It's so easy to do the right thing. Yeah. And people try and cut corners thinking that it's going to save them, and ultimately it bites them down the road, right? And so you weren't thinking about what everybody else was going to think about when you took this tenant and just put them in another house. It was just the right thing.
Yeah, and at the day, I mean, if you're an investor, especially if you're a buy and hold investor, your reputation's always up at stake because whatever that tenant does inside your property is a reflection on you.
Yeah.
Whether you believe that or not, it's true. A lot of townships look at it as, all right, you put someone who's questionable in there, they trashed your place and the neighbor's place. That's on the landlord. They're never going to forget that. So we vet our tenants strongly, and then we also treat the tenants with respect and make sure we put higher quality things inside of our units because we want them to stay, we want them to be happy, and we want them to have a good demeanor because, again, that's a reflection on you as an investor.
And one of the most important things that when you're investing in is really property management, right? Because you're going to look at this and the tenant may never know you as the owner, right? If I'm investing 1,000 miles away, they don't know me, but what represents me is my property management company. And many times the investor, they blame everything on the property management company, but you haven't done the right vetting. You don't know what they're going to do because you don't ask them questions. Oh, so I just hired a property management company because they manage properties. But then ultimately you didn't ask the right questions, so you didn't give them any guidance. So maybe they think they're doing an awesome job as a property management company, but you had this different thought of how it works, and because you weren't fluent with that conversation, then you're ultimately disappointed. And on the same front, even for the maintenance perspective, it's hugely important. And for me, to have a company, we have a 100-unit property, I want maintenance on some capacity to be in-house because I don't want them to, every time there's a plumbing leak, they have to call a plumber, come out, assess it, go back and buy the part. I'd rather pay a little bit more for the speed, within reason, a little bit more for the speed, than have to do this whole song and dance of finding somebody who can't come for a week and a half, even if I'm going to save 20% on it.
Yeah, even if they have it in-house, that should also be a financial benefactor to you if you're going to be one of their clients. Because think about a standard property manager who doesn't have maintenance in-house. They sometimes have to go to a GC who might have a maintenance person, or a farming like an MRO type company. So their MRO company is going to have a markup already. And the property manager is going to mark up on top of that, let's say 10, 15%. So now you're looking at a markup of 30 to 40% on your on labor and supplies, when if you went to an in-house person, it would have just been the generic markup of the MRO company that would have handled it, in-house for them. So you should be not only have a faster response rate, but you should be saving money for companies that have maintenance in-house.
So how do you guys expand now? What's the next step in the process for TerraVestra?
So we're trying to continue to grow our units. We're just solely focused on South Jersey. We are trying to be, we jokingly say, in the swamps of South Jersey. We're trying to grow our amount of units in there. We have multifamilies. We have single families. We also have some commercial properties, just a smidgen. We're looking at growing that. But we are increasing our maintenance breadth. We want to be able to start doing work for investors and real estate agents. That, let's say a real estate agent calls up and says, look, we're supposed to close in 3 days. I have this problem that came up. We need to go solve it right away. It's a small maintenance thing. Instead of going out to a GC and going through all that lines, they can call on us and we can do the work. Additionally, we have a dumpster company too, Platinum Disposal. It services South Jersey as well. So we're kind of, if you look at, property management, you have a lot of property management companies that work on the upstream is what I call it. So selling the properties, wholesaling the properties, putting together the financing, kind of everything up into the investor. We focus on the downstream. So we manage the property, but we also have the maintenance. We also have the dumpsters. We have the clean out. We have everything going downwards.
What went into that choice? So what was it? Because you talked about everybody going on the upstream and you're going on the downstream. Was that just was it a natural occurrence, or what was the thought process of saying we're gonna buck the trend?
Yeah, so a lot of it I have to thank my partner Drew Side. He had been doing the field service industry for a while with his DCS Enterprises, so it was a natural fit. But additionally, I'm a big believer of having grit and then stepping up for the jobs no one else wants. So there's not a lot of people that want to do the maintenance and the MRO and the dirty things inside of property management. We love it. We strive in it because nobody else wants to do it. And when nobody else is doing something, there's an advantages from a business perspective.
Yeah, absolutely, right? You're going against it. And that's just a well said point for business, right? You have to really think about where you can provide value, but in the same point, not chase what everybody else is doing because it looks right. And if you stay there within a lane of, well, everybody else seems to be doing this, so I'm going to follow that path, you're ultimately not going to find success because you're not happy with it. But you guys love maintenance, love what you're doing, and it's a niche where everybody's saying, I don't want to do it. So for vertical integration standpoint, how do you pick those items that are most beneficial to you so you're not too spread out as you go forward?
Yeah, I don't have a settled book because I think we're always constantly learning on that. You have to bring in the right people, and bringing in the right people in the maintenance level can be very difficult. You do have a little bit of a churn and burn. You bring in people, you see what their talents are from a maintenance repair perspective, and then you kind of capitalize on that. For instance, we have guys that are incredibly good at patching roofs or putting on new roofs, and we've really capitalized on that. And that wasn't something that we actively went seeking for.
Yeah.
But God, we can turn a roof at $250 a square, $200 a square, and get it done in a day and be over with. And that wasn't something that we initially went on. Same with kitchens. Replacing kitchens was something where, like, okay, you put your standard 10 by 10 kitchen, it's probably going to put you with cabinets and countertop, you're looking at $5-6 grand. We could do it at like $3, and just because we have the right installers and the right network of suppliers giving us the stuff. So, it wasn't, we knew we needed stuff for general maintenance, and then the teams kind of, I think as Drew sometimes puts it, they fall into their own.
Sure.
And they develop a specialization.
Well, you have that eyes wide open approach, right? Instead of just saying, no, we don't do that. Well, we just keep doing it. So why don't we just do it because it works and it's been beneficial for us? Yeah,
and there's a lot of almost burning the. You're stuck in a situation. You're in a situation where, like, hey, I got to go figure out a solution to something that came up with one of my properties. Well, let's just do it, and then you find, and if you can't find anyone who's doing it, you become the specialist, and then it kind of just goes from there. It gets a little organic.
Yeah, and I could see that, right? Because so many people say, no, I don't want to do that. And in the cross front, sometimes we get overburdened, but if you ultimately always say, I'm not going to do something because I'm afraid I don't know the answers, well, that's where you get stopped. And you guys have been a big, your team has been a good paramount of just finding what works and then making it its own by finding solutions to all the problems.
Yeah, absolutely.
So talk to us about hiring. What are some of the best ways as you're building a team? What has been the learning curve? What are some of the keys to the tricks here where you do have a lot of churn and burn, right? But how are you getting ahead of it now and creating a process that's more streamlined to build the company?
Yeah, it's probably not as streamlined as I would like it to be, but it to be one of the things that I think we all focus on is their ability to fit into our culture, which is not something you can do during the interview process. So we almost interview quickly, hire quickly, and we tell them, hey, be there at 7 a.m. and let's see how it rolls. And then
Sure.
if they make it, they make it. If not, probably not always the ideal way to hire, but when you do find the people that do culturally fit with you, you really have a chemistry going, and you can accomplish much more than just someone who could complete a task very well. We do a common tactic for maybe the managerial side of things. We have good cop, bad cop. I'm the good cop sometimes, and Drew's the good cop, and sometimes I'm the bad cop. He's the bad cop. We just had a hire for an operations manager where I was the good cop, and I said, I was kind of like giving the rosy picture of everything that's going on, and then Drew would come in and give the, here's the grit of it, and we see their mettle. We test their mettle because this is a gritty part of the industry we are in.
Sure.
We do manage stuff in C- neighborhoods, so you get tenants screaming at you sometimes for things that are not, at all in your realm. Or if you're a maintenance person, you might have to go into questionable blocks.
Yeah.
And we see how they handle, let's say, adverse reaction from one of us on purpose. We're purposely setting this up. And you can kind of get a gut feel of the temperament of the person.
Well, and you can't set that up in an interview, right? And just it's that same component, hire quick and fire quick sounds rough, but again, from a perspective of one being the employer and the employee, it's the best case scenario for both, because there's no reason to have this tumultuous relationship that you hold on to, right? I always go back to the story. I had a friend, he had worked at a restaurant forever, and he was just miserable. And he had been there so long, so they didn't want to fire him because they felt like they owed him because he had helped start the restaurant. And then one day, the manager just finally fired him. Yeah. And it was such a relief for him because he couldn't let it go because that's what he had done.
Yeah.
And it was such a relief because it was like this cloud over the restaurant. But it was this point where they let him go, and ultimately he's doing so much better because he was able to go out there and not have this burden of this job he hated. But sometimes we get to this point where we feel aligned to these people that we bring onto our team to keep them, even though because we feel bad for that point, but it's not the best situation on both sides.
Yeah. There is one, not caveat, but additional to this. If they are part of the culture, they're almost like family to us. It is a family-owned business.
And that's why it works, right?
Yeah. So when you culturally work out, like it, we're all very close with each other. We'll have cookouts or do certain things all together that I don't think maybe other employees and employers have. And we'll call on for each other, and we're all supportive of each other when the chemistry is there. And that's what we try to strive for. So it's, even though we're all separate families, it is like a family, business when you've gotten past that not honeymoon phase, but that initial.
Is there like a company mantra or besides your Bonadies?
Yeah, besides your Bonadies. I wouldn't say we can't put it into words so much as we get it done. Like we do what it takes to get it done. There are things that are not fun that we have to go through, leaks that are bursting through the window, bursting through the ceilings, or, for instance, one of our, we had to do a final walkthrough for one of our tenants last night, and some family stuff came up for one of our employees. They couldn't make it. I mean, there was someone else there to cover it at 8 o'clock at night, to drop off those keys, to just get it done and do it right, but get it done when the customer wants it. Because if the customer, if you don't deliver for the customer, then
make it happen right because it needs to happen.
Exactly.
So what does the next 5 years look like for your company?
Yeah, so we're going to continue to expand in South Jersey. We're really looking at Gloucester County, Salem County, Cumberland County, and Atlantic County, which is very specific. I know this podcast goes up farther, but we're really looking at those counties to grow more. We're targeting clients that have, those 6 to 14 unit small apartment complexes. And one of the things that has kind of developed, let's say, eyes wide open and kind of where it's narrowed down, we've become specialists at the C neighborhoods. So not a lot of property managers want to be in C neighborhoods. We are adequately equipped to handle that, and we've come quite good at handling those types of neighborhoods. So I feel that we're probably going to continue to develop in those neighborhoods and get them more units, as not a lot of property managers want to play there, but there's a lot of investors that want to be there because the numbers make sense and marrying that demand.
And that's important from a property management side and from an investing side. Is one, as a property management company, if I was going to go to a property management company and say, hey, I want to buy this apartment building, they say, okay, yeah, we handle 1,000 single family homes, a bunch of duplexes, and maybe a 50 unit, 40. Well, I wouldn't go with them because I don't want someone that's learning the curve to me because they try and cover everything. I want a property management company that says, hey, I got a 10 unit C-class building. I want to talk to you guys. What do you do? Oh, we focus on 6 to 14 unit properties that are C-class. Well, perfect, because I want someone that's going to align, that knows the process, that's set up for it, so I can just be in your, I just want to be a speed bump in your process because you already have the systems in place. I don't want you to have to go grow a team just to try and figure out how to work with me.
You hit the nail right on the head, and a lot where we see the demand come from investors, where they try to hire a property management company from outside the area to come in because they have a lot of doors here, and it's a train wreck because they just don't know the isms of each town. Like something really simple, Pine Hill, New Jersey, down south in South Jersey, the inspectors in that community are going to check for loose outlets in every single outlet. That doesn't happen in other townships. You know, just knowing something like that, okay, you just lost 3 days because now you got to have a maintenance worker come in and out and be out. But if you have someone who's local, knows that, you preemptively, all right, let's go get Jim in here. He's going to go tighten everything. And we know that's going to come up, by the way. You're also going to get dinged for this, this, and this. This is what we're going to get taken care of. And you're in this neighborhood, so you're looking at probably 4 weeks before we fill the unit. You'll get this price range. It'll be that. You just know every element of that town.
And you guys know the stories of the properties, and that's always important too. You have this property manager, whether they have 50 units or 10,000 units, if they're looking up that, and they're usually a company and they have that family culture, they've been there, so they understand it. So as a property comes up, you can tell them the story about, okay, yeah, that property's been marketed 6-7 times, even though they're saying it's a new listing, or that property got flooded, even though they're not telling you, or that landlord is horrible, that you're definitely gonna have CapEx in this property. And that's what's important, where I see a lot of people try and transition as they grow to regional players, and then they get this regional rep, and that regional rep comes in, but they're there as an overseer, but they're not, now they have to put in that process, but they lose that feeling of having that local interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. I put that to a real life example. There's a triplex on Nicholson Road in Gloucester City that I think 5 people have brought to my attention. Hey, Mike, I think this is a great deal. Can you go manage it? And I'm like, all right, here's what's going on in that property. It's been on sale for the past 2 years, and it's this price point, and this is where the owner lives, and this is why it's not selling, and here's exactly what's going on here. You definitely want to avoid it.
Well, that's good. And it's from the investment side, too. I get so fluent in the market that people will bring up deals, and I'm like, oh, dude, like, I saw that 3 years ago, and like it just because you get in there and you really dial in, and so it's the same thing from an investing strategy. Is you want to be so dialed in the market, because the real estate's landscape across America, but every market has its certain areas that work. Like in the town I live, there's better parts and worse parts. My town's great, and someone says my town, oh yeah, it's a great town, but there's certain parts that you demand $1 million house, and then if you take that house and plunk it in this other neighborhood, maybe it's $600,000 because it's just a less desirable neighborhood. But in the front, you say, oh, it's $1 million house in Westfield, it will sell, but not in that neighborhood.
Absolutely, and when you're, especially when you're dealing with, and maybe investors who are looking at a spreadsheet and they're trying to say, to bring it back to your example, this is what my ARV should be. So they're about to buy it with cash, and they're going to get a deal from this wholesaler. That says, hey, this will work out for them. They ran all the comps and whatnot. There's been a couple times where I've protected clients that said, look, on paper it looks this way, but I can tell you, because I have 4 appraisals from an appraiser, this is what the number's actually going to come out to be based on what's going on here. There's some antics that's going to throw off your comps. Here's what the dollar price is. Are you prepared that this is what you're going to be for the refinance? And then they're like, that's a great point. You're going to save me money on that. Having that kind of knowledge, I think, is super vital for a property management company.
And that's how you grow your business. So, hey, are you ready for our snap action questions?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right. Best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Ooh. stand up or take the job that nobody else wants. That was told by me by the president of Stanley Black & Decker when I used to work for them.
Love it. What talent do you wish you possess?
Ooh.
Doesn't have to be real estate, of course.
What talent do I wish I possessed? I wish I was more like I had graphical creativity, branding element.
Sure.
I'm not. I'm awful with like colors and like trying to create branding for things. So I wish I had that.
Yeah, I'm like, see my hands. I like throw rocks at the computer and say, "How do I get this thing on?"
Yeah,
Someone call somebody in here. Wait, what's your real estate superpower?
Ooh, my real estate superpower, is that supposed to be like a hyperbole, like a
Take it how you want.
Okay. My real estate superpower. When I'm showing tenants, I already know what their credit history and background check is going to come back, so I don't have to go through the application.
Love it. Love it. Hey, it works. What's a lesson you've learned throughout this process that's definitely helped you excel in your real estate career?
Okay. The ability to leverage not just your network, but the network of the people inside your network. You know, when you have a niche job and you've got to call on, you know, you can't take care of it in-house, but somebody in-house knows somebody who can take care of it because it's a really strange problem involving oil tanks or something like that. That has been quintessential to being able to get things done quickly and efficiently and in a timely manner.
Yeah, it's the power of a team, right? Just having that person that doesn't, because that could sideline you for weeks if you don't have that person there. What's a focus or productivity hack you use?
I do 90-minute sessions, and I think I was doing this before. I think they brought it up on Bigger Pockets at one point, but I work on a single topic for 90 minutes. As soon as 90 minutes hits up, I move on to the next one. It's to prevent me from getting diminishing returns on my own work. I don't get too trapped in my own thoughts. I try to move on to the next.
Yeah, what's it like if you if your attention gets distracted, it takes you like 17 minutes to get back on track onto a topic, something like that, I think is the metric. It's somewhere in there. You get the premise, but in that part, if you're constantly jumping from things to things, you can never really get your focus back and you're losing your time. That's great. What's your best tip for success?
This is going to go against the trend a little bit. Buy the properties that no one else wants because it doesn't fit the cookie cutter mold. In other words, most of the properties I own I only own 2 properties that were built after 1950. Most of my properties were built in 1910. If you go on the common knowledge, you're going to be like, buy after 1950, get this certain type of electrical, yada, yada. Buy those problems. That sounds like money to me. You can improve them. You can get them at a lower cost. Yeah, you might be dealing with some skeletons in the closet. So my tip is buy the properties no one else wants. As long, buy the properties no one else wants as long as you can make it work. And you should definitely, specialize in something like that. And
have people like Mike and his team that are there to assist you because they're fluent in that type of work. So Mike, this has been awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Jason. This has been fantastic.
So where's the best place for others to learn more about you and your company?
Yeah, go to www.TerraVestra PropertyManagement.com, or you can reach out to me via email with mbonadies at tvpm.info.
Awesome. Mike, thanks so much.
Thank you, Jason. It's been a pleasure.
This is Jason with the Real Estate Foundation Show. Thank you. Bye now.